Can you see my screen?
I do.
All right, perfect. So this is the back end of Calendly. Now, what Calendly is really good for is you can set up various calendars where somebody, whether it's anybody, usually in this case would be a prospect, can go onto your calendar and choose a time to talk with you. You've got for Calendly, I set this up a while ago, but my understanding is still that with the free version, you get one quote unquote calendar. These are each one of like my different calendars or events, which is what they call it. With the paid version, you get multiple ones. So for you, you could do like if you just want to have like the initial call with somebody just to make sure that you're on the same page. You could even have like a 15-minute segment, half-hour segment, whatever you want. You can create these. They're super customizable. So that's really like the back end of it.
Right.
Let me show you how to set up an actual event. So what you would do is you click on new event type, and then you've got a couple options. You can either do one-to-one or group. For 95% of what you're gonna do, it's probably gonna be one-to-one, especially if you're using this to work with prospects as far as like, selling to them. So if we hit create on that, we can now create whatever the event name is. So in this case, we would just call it, let's just say, initial consultation. All right, location is if there is a way to do it, how are you gonna reach out to them? If you wanna do it in person, this is where you can set that up. Phone call for us, if we do use GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting, we'll click that button right there and that will sync with our GoToMeeting. So it automatically puts the link in the invite that gets sent out to people. So in this case, let's just say we want to do a phone call. And it will say either I will call them or they should call me. Let's just say you're going to call them. Okay.
All right.
Next, any other description or instructions you want them to know, and it just says like, please be available to chat at the selected time. I will call the number given. All right. Then you can come down. If you want to change the link name, I wouldn't suggest doing that. And if for some reason you want to change the event color and how it's going to show up on your Calendly, you can, but I just leave those alone. Okay, so name, location, AKA how are you going to connect, and then any other description or instructions you want for them.
All right.
How's this look so far?
Yeah, it looks pretty intuitive.
Good. Okay, now we'll hit next. Now we've got a few different options. You've got, just to show you real quick, right above this calendar, you've got hours, and then you've also got advanced. For the basic part of this, all you have to do for hours is just say, how long is this last for? 15 up to 60, or you can do a custom amount. What's the date range? And date range meaning how far out can people book this? You would think, 60 days would be fine, but especially if it's sales that you're doing, you want to limit how far out they can book it, just because otherwise they'll forget. We find with Christy, people that book demos the day before, the day of, have a much higher chance of showing up than those that book it a week and a half out. All right, so let's just say for this case, it's sales. We only want to go out, let's say 5 rolling days, which means that if you look down here in the calendar, the white is where they can book it, and the grayed out means it's going to be available, but right now they can't actually book it. Make sure your time zone is correct, and then that is going to be how you just book it from a basic level to start off with.
Okay.
All right. Now we'll hit next, and I'll come back and I'll show you the advanced stuff because you definitely want to do that. But if we hit next, the next thing down is going to be additional options, which is what do we want to ask them? What do we need out of this? So you can do name and email, which is the minimum that you need to get out of them. And then if you want phone number, which would make sense in your case to have that. And then if you want to do anything, you know, hey, is there anything else that you want to talk about before this? We have that in there. However, you can delete that. You can also add your own questions if you want.
If we were going to ask them to provide pictures, would that be the place to do it?
It would be beforehand. So this would actually, this Calendly would be after the upload photos page.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's how I would do that, is I would make this afterwards. What we did, let me show you for Premiere real quick. I just kind of, I set this up for them to show them kind of like what I'm thinking on this. And as that loads, I'll keep going with this, but this will be after. Down below, this is right below that under questions. This is going to be notifications, which means what happens, right? Like a lot of times people forget, they're going to get sent automatically a calendar invite, which says an event will be created in your calendar and your invitee will be added as an attendee, which means that it gets sent over to their email. But I also do email reminders and text reminders. So you can turn this on. If you click personalize, you can say whatever you want it to say.
Okay.
And then you can also do timing, meaning how far in advance. For email reminders, I generally will do like 48 hours plus like 24 hours. And then text reminders, I do like 24 hours plus 1 hour beforehand. So that way there's like, when people don't show up to like stuff for Christie and the bridge, there's like really no excuse because we know they've been texted and they go, oh, I had no idea, I totally forgot. And we're like, text message has a 99% open rate. Like unless you're in the 1%, you got reminded 1 hour ago. But there's also, under here it says hide cancellation policy. You want to leave this thing checked, which means that with every invite that they get and every reminder, it also says, hey, if you want to cancel or reschedule this, click these links here. So it really doesn't get people an out to just not show up to a call.
I like it.
Does that all make sense?
It does.
Cool. Okay. Let's see if the Premier Ponds one. Let me pull this up really fast. All right. Then you have your confirmation page, which is you can either send them somewhere else and just says, you know, like you have like your Calendly like display, which is just like a normal page. This is all right, great, got it. You know, we have your information. Or if you want to create a separate page, it could be back on your website that just says, awesome, looking forward to chatting. In the meantime, please check out this guide to exterior painting, something like that. So that way they're a little bit more informed,
right?
Which is what we're doing with Premiere.
Yeah.
And then collect payments. If you want to charge them, you can do that, but I don't think you'll be doing too much of that.
No.
Okay. And then just to show you, at any step, they usually have at the top of each page, view live page. So you can just click that just to see what this will look like at this point. All right. Then you hit save and close. Then it hits saved, and that's it. So now what you can do is if you ever click on hit live page, you just copy this link. And when you send it to somebody, this will show up exactly how this is for them. That's really the basics of Calendly. Let me show you this page just so you see how we use it. I think it's updated confirmation. Last modified. So I just use like fillers in here, but this is what we're doing with Premiere. Is just great. You know, this is after they submit the photos and they fill out the form. Great. Next, you know, what happens next? You know, schedule a virtual consultation. 1, fill this out. 2, click the link in the calendar invite that's going to be sent to you. And then 3, at the time of the meeting, click the link and get ready to go. So this is going to be really more for instead of like pond cleanings, which is usually a very low price point compared to new pond or pond renovation, which is generally anywhere from 10 to 75,000. this is where like they'll do it. So this is kind of how we're shifting for things, but it just informs people that, hey, this is next. So that's how we're doing it, and the team will already have photos in hand.
Like it.
All right, cool. So that is your basics of Calendly. And then if you want to come back and say with this initial consultation, and if we want to either copy the link, send it out to people, you can do it that way by clicking that. You can change stuff up. I don't ever use these things, but if you ever want to edit it, if you click on the cog, click edit, and then let's say we talked about before the hours versus the advanced settings. Advanced is where you can really make it happen. It's better. So availability increments just means that, you know, how often are there slots available? Are you doing it on the 15? Are you doing it on the hour where they can only book every hour? So we'll leave it as the half an hour. If you want to max out, let's say, you know, you only have the mental capacity to do three appointments a day, you do 3. Minimum scheduling notice, which means that how far in advance do we want to limit people? I'm sorry, how fast do we want to limit people from booking? So if it's 10 a.m. right now, when we say we want at least a 2-hour heads up, we'll do that. So 2 hour in advance, and then event buffers to make sure that you don't do back-to-back-to-back stuff. How far before and how far after something that's already on your calendar do we want to make it so that if you have a meeting, let's say this one runs from 10 to 10:30, somebody can't book right at 10:30 because in case this one goes long, you're going to be late. So we'd want to like maybe make a buffer of 15 minutes, which means that any event that you have, you know, they can't book something 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after. So you kind of have that leeway. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, cool. And that's really it for that. You hit save and close on there. And then the last thing is going to be integrations. If you click on integrations at the top, this is where you can start to connect everything. If you want to use your GoToMeeting, you can do it there. Analytics, you can do it there. It's pretty straightforward as far as if you want to integrate it with anything. But under account, I believe this is where calendar connections. So under account, calendar connections, this is where you want to link it up with whatever calendars you got. So I'll add another one here. And the idea of this is check for conflicts, meaning like with Christy. Christy's got a full sale calendar, a CGN calendar, and a CSA calendar. So what this does is this will, because people can block off spots as they see that's available, this will actually check on Christy's calendar, all 3 of those calendars, to make sure that she doesn't have a meeting for CSA, and then after that a meeting for CGN. Like if you have multiple calendars, it will check all of those, and then it will say, okay, great, but which calendar do you want us to send this to? So for her, she has 3 calendars, so if she has a CSA thing, it will add it to the CSA calendar, but it'll check all 3 calendars to make sure that she's completely open at that time.
Nice.
At the top, excuse me?
No overlap.
No overlap whatsoever. Yeah, it's super nice. At the top, you're going to click on add calendar account. Whatever calendar you do it with, I believe you guys have G Suite, so you would just click connect. And then I'll just do info at CGN. Actually, I think I got it wrong. Allow. And now it's connected. And then this is all it does, is it just says, great. You want to add it here, yes or no? So now what it does is it checks both Logan and info at CGN, and then adds whatever to Logan at Full Sail Marketing. And that's it.
All right.
It's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is that advanced tab to go through and make sure that it's not too far out. People can, you know, they don't block too many back-to-back-to-back, things like that. But that's and then from here you'll see like I've got these times open. You know, as you go through, you'll see different days based off of what what you got available, and people can just click on that. They'll hit confirm. And then let's just do, and then if you want to add somebody else, like there's another person that should get it, you do it there. You type in, and if there's anything else, then you hit schedule event. So even if somebody calls me up and they're like, they get me on the phone and they don't, I don't send this over to them, I will still put in all their information right here, which will then send them a calendar invite because I want the reminders to hit them. So I'll always do it right here in Calendly, even if they call me and we talk about it over the phone.
Right.
And you hit schedule event. It will send myself and you a notification. There you go, right there. And if I go to my, so it was Thursday at 11 a.m. If I go to my calendar, right there.
Got it.
And then check your email, please, just to make sure that that came through.
Got it. Yep.
And that's it. How do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I like it. I'm just trying to think about, so, you know, just the integration of, it's a new process. So everyone who's scheduling things for me, understanding it as well as me understanding it, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, so the way that I use the Calendly a lot, because I hate when sales reps at software companies just say, hey, you want to chat with me about your account, please go to my calendar. So I always phrase it as, hey, Todd, are there a few times that work best for you that we could chat on the phone? But also if it's easier, here's a link to my scheduler. Please just, hop in there, but let me know otherwise. So I kind of give them the option of what works for you, and I'll see if I can make it work. Or if it's easier, just do this. 100% of the time, they just go right to the calendar.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
You
So
send them the link and they go.
Yeah, but yeah, I still try to let them know, let me know what works best for you, instead of the whole hey, I'm busy, so maneuver yourself around it.
Right.
So I do it like that. And then as far as the scheduling, on the next page, let's say, where they fill out the form on your website, they submit the pictures, and it takes them to the next page. It could then be from there, we could have the message that says something like, hey, we'll be reaching out to you to talk about your project and see how we can, help. But it's easier, just so we don't reach you at a bad time. If you want to schedule yourself in our calendar, we'll call you at the time that works best for you. So then that way, if they schedule it, not to call them up immediately or something like that. So even though speed is with sales, like the name of the game, try to get them right there. So that's kind of why, for the initial consultation, maybe you wouldn't block it off 5 days out. You'd only say you got 2 days, something like that.
Yeah, I like that, actually. Get them all hot.
Yeah, exactly. And then even if you don't make this thing public facing, you can still set up your Calendly. So if you do schedule, hit them while it's hot, and then if they can't talk right now, or you want to go through a full sales pre-call, still put their information into Calendly, so that way when you do talk in 2 days, 3 days, whatever that is, they get all the notifications in between them.